Welcome to Dark Horizon Creations. I'm Mike, and today we're beginning a new series of video reviews on the Transformers Movieverse toy line. And we're kicking that off with the Voyager class Ironhide from the 2007 Transformers live action film. I really like the live action series of Transformers. I know there's a lot of fans that are very opinionated, if you will, about some of the plots and the story and things of that nature. But overall, I really like the Movieverse. I grew up watching Transformers when they were first released in 1984 and had some of the original toys. And as I became an adult, I collected at one time, and then I completely got out of it. And just this year, in March, I began to collect them again, actually for my birthday. And one of the things that I really like about the 2007 Transformers toy line is the scale of the toys. I'm very peculiar about the scale of the Transformers, and all of the Autobots in the first toy line were in scale with one another. They matched their on-screen representations fairly well. And what I like to do is I like to collect the Autobots from across the different films and match them up together into one group, and the same with the Decepticons. And that's kind of difficult to do when you get into the Dark of the Moon toy line, Age of Extinction, The Last Night, and of course the Studio Series, because Hasbro began to reduce the scale of the toys. They began creating smaller molds for the figures. And of course, as they transform into their alt mode, they are smaller than the previous line. So collecting across the Movieverse has been sort of a challenge, if you will, because with the first two films, Transformers and then Revenge of the Fallen, those lines are fairly identical as far as size. Dark of the Moon, there's some of the Autobots that you can use, the deluxe figures, and match up with previous lines, but not with the Voyager or Leader class scales. They are reduced, and certainly you can't cross the Studio Series over with these because they are too small. The only Studio Series figure that I've seen thus far that looks like it's in scale is Roadbuster. I saw an image on TFW 2005 where a collector had all three of the Wreckers, and two of them were from the Dark of the Moon line, and Roadbuster was from the current Studio Series, and he looked actually slightly larger than Top Spin. So I thought, okay, great. You know, there's at least one character from the Studio Series I can get to throw into my collection. So I'm really peculiar on scale because I like for them all to look accurate, and including when they transform. And there's certain figures that I won't collect. Drift, for instance, you see him off to my right there, and I didn't like his alt mode in The Last Night. I really liked his alt mode from Age of Extinction, the Bugatti variant. So that's the one that I collected. I didn't buy any of the other ones. With Optimus, I like his Age of Extinction and Last Night alt mode, the Western Star 5700 semi. So I didn't collect any of the other versions of Optimus. And I thought it would just be really appropriate to go back and review some of my favorite characters from the Transformer Movieverse toy line, and look at where the line has been, where it is currently, and where it may go in the future, particularly with new films as they're released. So one of the things that stands out to begin with this line is the packaging. I like the packaging, the red and black deco there, the red Autobot symbol, the Transformers movie logo, the character image down in the lower right, and their name there. And the Premium Series is the second wave of these figures that was released after the initial line was released in 2007. And what they did was they went back and added some detailed paint apps to some of the characters and figures. I know Jazz, Ironhide, and Optimus all got the Premium Series treatment. I don't know of any of others. I'm sure there were, but those are the only three that I'm aware of. The only two that I ever owned were Ironhide and Jazz. And recently picked this figure up off of eBay for a very reasonable cost. If you haven't ever collected this figure and you'd like to get it after you see this review, I will tell you that it is highly sought after by collectors on the secondary market, And when you go on eBay and start searching for one of these mint in box, as this one is, you're going to see the prices go up upwards of $150 for this figure. And so it's pricey. The premium series also had this silver metallic banner underneath the Transformers logo, and the silver metallic banner behind the character name. On the side of the box, you have the character name, and then it details the automorph technology. Now, the automorph technology is the other great feature about this line. There are different panels and parts that, as you transform the character, you move one panel, and it moves 2 or 3 more at the same time. And it makes it really fun to play with the toy, because it makes it seem like the toy's transforming itself, and just brings it to life, and just gives it this whole other sense of playability that you don't get with some of the older Transformer figures. On the back of the packaging, you have your obligatory product shots, and one of the things I want to point out here are the skills. That's a carryover from G1. You've got your strength, your intelligence, speed, endurance, rank, courage, fire blast, and skill. And I really like that they added that in. And of course, on the upper right hand side, you have a brief bio of the Transformers and Ironhide included in there. So what we're going to do now is pause the video. I'm going to remove the figure from the packaging, and we're going to come back and see what it's all about. Stay tuned. Alright guys, so we're back with the Transformers Premium Series Voyager Class Ironhide. And as you can see, this is a really nice toy, and really excited to have this in my collection. I think it is worth the cost to have it, and I believe it's probably one of the nicer collectibles that you'll find in the Transformers Movieverse toy line. So outside of the packaging, of course, you have the toy, and you also have the instruction booklet. Now I'm wearing gloves, not because of coronavirus, but so I don't get any oils or anything on this toy, because I do plan to paint the robot mode, and I just I don't want to get anything on it at all. So inside the little plastic baggie is the instruction sheet, and it's fairly simple. There's only like 12 steps to transform Ironhide. And if you look at this section right here, it details the automorph technology, and that's the rear quarter panels on the truck bed that actually transform into his feet, and it shows you which panels move when you pull them. So there's not a lot included. Now he does include both of his cannons, and it has 4 plastic missiles that shoot out of those, and we'll take a look at that in just a second. Once I return instruction sheet to its plastic home. For those of you wondering, I don't buy used toys off of eBay. I used to, and I stopped doing that because you don't know who had the toys. You don't know, how they took care of them, if they took care of them. And a lot of times people can put ads on eBay to make money and be misleading about it. And that's something I'm very wary of. Even when I buy new toys, I will search through all of the listings that are available before I make a selection, and I usually narrow it down to 3 or 4 before picking one. And I always look at a top-rated seller, someone that's done business on eBay for several years, as well as someone with good feedback, and I look at all the close-up images of the item before I decide to purchase it or place a bid on it. So looking at the actual toy, you can see the paint applications that Hasbro has included on here, and on the front you can see the GMC logo on the grille, as well as the Road Armor logo on the bumper, and an Autobot symbol on the hood. Now, of course, this wasn't on the screen used truck. I wish it had been, because I think that's really neat. I think it actually had one here on the side of the hood. And you can see there's some paint applications, of course, for the door handles there. If I can get it to focus. And on the windows, it has that frosted look to it. The 4x4 symbol on there, and the running lights. On the tailgate, you've got the GMC logo and another Autobot logo. The same logos on the side of the truck, 4x4 logo, and then you've got the blue running lights up top. So I think they did a really, really great job with this. And of course, you got the silver painted fog lights down here in the bumper, as well as the winch. And it's got the Road Armor logo on the bottom. Now, one of the other reasons I got this, I talked to you about scale in the first part of the video. And I purchased this to scale up with another toy. This is the Last Night Leader Class Optimus Prime from Hasbro. It did not look like this in the packaging. This is a custom project I've been working on for the past few weeks now. I've probably got a week left of doing some cleanup and touch-ups in alt mode here. But this is the reason I purchased this, to match it up with this figure. And I really like their scale. One of the things I did is I Googled the Ironhide truck online, the GMC Top Kick 6500. I saw what the dimensions were of the actual truck. And I actually found two fan-owned vehicles, a fan-owned Western Star 5700 and a fan-owned GMC Top Kick 6500. I think it was up in Pennsylvania, and they had drove them to one location and had them parked side by side. And I took measurements from each of the vehicles. I saw how Ironhide matched up to the cab on the Western Star, and that's why I went with this truck. Yes, I'm actually that detailed. Perhaps it's because I'm autistic, or because I just care, or maybe it's a combination of both, but that is why I matched these two up. And I think they look really, really great together. And you can see that, side by side in toy mode, Ironhide is at his own screen and real life height. He would come up to the top of the door on this truck. And if you've ever sat in this truck, if you've ever ridden in it on the highway, you would know that when you look out the window, you can look across and see a long-distance truck driver and a semi eye to eye. You don't look at them like you do in a car where you're looking up at them trying to crane your neck. No, you look across and see them eye to eye, and you can see into their cab when you're sitting in this truck. So that's why I like these two, and I think they look really great together, and I'm looking forward to adding to this collection. So there you have a comparison of these two trucks. Now let's talk about transformation, and it's pretty straightforward. It's not very difficult. If you flip the truck over, you can see the only real kibble on this truck are the cannons. The arms, would stick out, but they would be in the center, so they're, concealed by the cannons themselves. And you can pull these off before you begin transforming him, and I recommend that you do. And if you look at these for a moment, this is the one that fires the missiles. You pull them out of this one and load them into here, and it's spring loaded, and it has these little panels here that you pull back, and it fires the missile out of them. So to transform Ironhide, the first thing you want to do is you want to come here to the front bumper, and you want to pull it down like that so that it rotates down, because these panels peg into the top of it. Then you want to pull these panels up, as this one's already starting to, and they just kind of pop up on their own on the side like that. And you want to do this one the same way, and just let it sit there, because that's what it's going to do. You want to come back here to this panel and untab it, and it's double jointed, so you untab it and pull it out, and then you pull it kind of back like this. You do each of those like that. Now you can see that his arms are tabbed in to this peg that's at a angle right here on this panel. So you just kind of pull those straight down like that. If you come down here, you'll see that they just kind of rotate up. And I'm going to raise the camera up so that you can see what I'm doing. So now that we got that out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and collapse the rear doors, because they fold in like that. And you can see the whole upper panel. Now, one thing about this toy, and I've had 3 or 4 of these, every time you go to transform it, the entire windscreen and top, this is all one section, it comes out of this translucent peg right here that my finger's on. The best thing to do is to go ahead and collapse this down and set it to the side, because it's going to be the backpack, and you can just leave it alone. Now for his legs, you're going to split those apart, and here's where the automorph technology comes into. Excuse me. You're going to come down here and you see this panel, which is his foot, and you pull it down, and as you pull it down, you see all the rear wheels and this panel move and snap in the sides. Really neat. Now, this isn't complete. A lot of people would stop right here. You actually pull his feet down at an angle so that that heel is angled down to support him in robot mode. If you don't, he won't stand up properly. He'll fall over. Now that that is done, you want to come up here and you open this chest piece, get it out of the way, pull his arms out, and this blue section here is going to tab down into those tabs there, like that. And then this peg is going to go into that tab there for his upper body. Once you do that, you have to rotate his upper body, and it's very stiff. All of these were from day one, but it rotates around like this, and it will pop back up off of that. And you reach in here to raise his head up. There we go. And on either side of his head are those tabs where the truck wheels push into. They push in like that. And then you just rotate his arms down. You're going to take the center panel, pull that up, and push that into place, and that forms his chest. And you're going to turn him around, pull this back down, and take this and slide it back on. And this can be aggravating, to be honest. I don't know why it pops out so easy, but I'd rather it pop out than break. And by it being translucent plastic, you don't want to put a lot of pressure on it, because it will break if you do.
Now, the other thing to do for his cannons, you have to rotate his arms out like this, and then rotate his wrist around, so that the pegs are facing outward on his arms. That allows you to attach the cannons. And they peg in like so. And that's what Ironhide looks like in robot mode. And he's a really nice looking action figure. I realize that his head sculpt is not that accurate. It certainly doesn't look as good as the Studio Series version, but it is still nice looking just the same. And there's a lot of potential with this figure for adding some paint applications, and that's one of the things that I plan to do. I also like the fact that his arms are on these ratcheting joints. They're really stiff, and you can see there I pulled the entire torso section up, you know, by doing that. But he's a really nice looking character. He's really fun to play with, and that's one of the things that I like about the 2007 Movieverse toy line. All of those characters were fun to play with, but particularly this one. I really like Ironhide. So, ladies and gentlemen, there you have the 2007 Transformers Voyager class Ironhide from the Premium Series. I hope you guys enjoyed the video review. If you haven't, please follow and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on Instagram. Check out my Facebook page, Dark Horizon Creations. I share a lot of news from science fiction and fantasy on there. I share customized toys and do a lot of discussions. I also have a blog, www.darkhorizoncreations.home.blog, where I take different topics and discuss them. And I hope you guys have enjoyed. Stay tuned. There's more to come.